Well, breaking news before we get started with the NXT and Smackdown recap for today, and it was announced last night during a live event in Toronto, Canada, that Santino Marella is going to be forced to retire. He actually is going to have his third neck surgery, which thus pretty much ends his in-ring career. Which is a sad state of affairs for a lot of people that don't know anything about Santino Marella outside of WWE and outside of the comedic gimmick he has portrayed throughout the years. So I'm going to give you guys a little bit of a lesson. Now, granted, I'm looking upwards, obviously, because I want to make sure everything of this is perfect. So, basically, Santino Marella, he started his career out in Ontario Independence, and he was Johnny Giabasco. And once he was working as Johnny Giabasco, he got the eye of WWE, and WWE ended up bringing them into their developmental, at the time, Ohio Valley Wrestling in 2005. And they renamed him Boris Alexiev, which is when Paul Heyman had the book at OVW. So, basically, he did a nice little Russian shoot fighter gimmick. That's what Boris Alexiev was, which fit really well with Paul Heyman's style of being able to create stars. And basically, this led to him signing a developmental deal. And in 2007, he made his debut in a matchup for the Intercontinental Championship against Umaga, the late great Umaga. And of course, the current TNA World Heavyweight Champion Bobby Lashley helped him win this match. This is when he was officially now Santino Marella. And of course, Santino Marella has done a lot of comedic stuff in WWE. He's had some storylines with Maria. He's did Glamorella with Beth Phoenix. And of course, his current angle that he has with Emma. So, obviously, former Intercontinental Champion, that's how he won the Intercontinental Championship over Umaga. And it's interesting because he had a nice little feud over the Intercontinental Championship with the Honky Tonk Man, the longest reigning Intercontinental Champion in WWE history. And he brought out the Honkometer, and that was really funny stuff. And there's some really great things that Santino did. Of course, he had that very interesting team with Vladimir Kozlov, and that was an interesting time in his life. And the final stuff he did with Tamina before the Emma stuff, which is really interesting. And basically, he did the Santino Marella gimmick trying to win the women's championship, and he did. So yeah, this was really interesting that he's done a lot of comedic things, but a lot of people don't remember his reign as a credible professional wrestler, not just a comedic superstar, Intercontinental United States Champion. But that's not all there is to Santino Marella at all. The problem is you really never got to see it in WWE. And for those of you that don't know anything about Johnny Giabasco, or they don't know anything about Boris Alexiev, Santino Marella just was a comedic wrestler, and most people didn't really have to see his wrestling talents because he didn't have to showcase them. He didn't have to do anything anymore. He just pulled out a sock, and of course that was his Cobra, and he popped someone in the face or popped someone in the throat, and boom, that's it. That's all he had to do. He got over the same several moves, and that was fine, obviously, because it got over, and it's still getting over to this day. Because obviously there are a lot of fans of Santino Marella's work. So yes, he shows up at the live event in Toronto last night, and he basically got on the microphone and said that obviously he's been billed from Italy from day one. Santino Marella, Santino, of course, the Italian connection, and Marella is basically a nice little homage to the late great Gorilla Monsoon. So he got on the mic and he wanted to say, finally, in his own words, that he is from Toronto, and of course he got a huge pop for that. So, of course, he just opened a nice little location in Mississauga called Battle Arts Academy, and it's basically to train for MMA and pro wrestling. It's also got some general strength and conditioning. When they did the grand opening, there was a lot of WWE and former WWE talents there. So, obviously, Santino is well liked by the locker room. And he will continue to be on television, probably doing product placement like he did with Twisted Tea on Raw Monday night, and also probably doing promos and just entertaining things to make us all laugh. So yes, before we get started with this recap, I just want to take about 5 minutes to talk about Santino Marella and how he will be missed as an on-air wrestler in the WWE, but he will not go away. It'll be interesting to see what they do with Santino from this point forward. Is he going to become a manager? That's a possibility. But maybe there's also a chance for him to become a mouthpiece in another way, like maybe a general manager. Could you imagine him fighting with the Authority over being the Raw general manager or the SmackDown general manager? It'd be really entertaining television. And I have no idea how it would work, but it'd be interesting. So, one door has closed, but another door is wide open, and Santino is not going anywhere. So yes, I definitely want to wish Anthony Corelli the best, and he will continue to entertain us night after night on WWE television, whether he takes a bump ever again. So, sad news to start us off, but it's all for the best, and we are going to roll on. We're going to focus now on what happened on NXT this past week. NXT a mixed bag this week, some squash matches, and two really nice matches. We're storyline building as we always are. We started the show off with Sylvester Lafort, with of course Marcus Louis is injured right now, and he's actually showing it. And he was out at ringside, and he's taking on Big Cass, Colin Cassidy, of course, Enzo Amore back in his corner again. This match went really short. About 2 minutes, if that. Basically, Lafort goes for a clothesline, gets countered to the East River Crossing, and of course, the pump of the fist by Big Cass. He hits the Empire Elbow, 7 feet up in the air, 7 feet down to the sternum, 1, 2, 3, and Big Cass wins. So yes, the feud will continue in a different form. Obviously, Marcus Louis cannot wrestle right now, but once he is able to be cleared, this will be a tag team feud. And I think that we end up doing a match between these two to determine a #1 contender for the Ascension's NXT Tag Team Championships. And I think that's the right direction to go. Speaking of things that cannot be done right now because of injury, Tyler Breeze shows up interrupting Adrian Neville's promo. Basically, he was saying how much of an honor it was to defeat Rob Van Dam last week on NXT in that match. And Tyler Breeze basically is saying he has to look over his shoulder now, literally, because he was 20 feet away at the broadcast booth, and how could he get the job done when Tyler Breeze was right there watching him the entire time? He says, "It must kill you not to know when I'll cash in, just like your Uggo face kills me." So, of course, Tyler has his finger in a splint from a hand modeling accident, so yes, that's what we're playing up right now. So, we get our first match, actual match of the show, which is tag team action. It is women's action. It is going to be Charlotte, the NXT Women's Champion, and the Boss, Sasha Banks, taking on the new team of Bayley and Becky Lynch, who debuted last week on NXT. I guess we could call them the Bayley Friends Forever, because that's what Bayley said. And apparently the arm-flailing tube men now have a name. Apparently the one is named Bruno, and the other one is named Lala. So yes, apparently the arm-flailing, waving tube men have names now. Interesting. Picking up midway through the match, Charlotte's got the figure 4 head scissor locked on Bayley, and instead of the scissor stomp like Madison Rayne would do, she flips her forward and gets a 2 off of that. Tag into Sasha, and Sasha nails Becky, and clubs her in the lower back. Tag back into Charlotte, she dive bombs the back, makes a cover 1-2 and a kick out. So 2 driving knees, like lift up driving the knees, and gets a 2 off of that. Tag back into Sasha as the BFFs, the former BFFs, have cleared the ring, have cut it off now. A double whip and a double back elbow gets a 2 again, and tag back into Charlotte, and a foot choke in the corner, tag back into Sasha. Really, really working together as a cohesive unit here, at least for the time being. They go for a double whip, and Bayley counters with a cross whip and sends them into each other. So Sasha goes to try to grab the foot, so she cannot make the tag to Becky Lynch. She gets kicked off, tagging to Becky Lynch, ducks the clothesline, stiff European uppercut, 2 big clotheslines, high leg lariat, and 2 leaping leg drops, and the third one, the lightning leg drop off the ropes. Charlotte makes a save before the 3. Bayley ends up trying to toss Charlotte, but gets countered, and Charlotte tosses Bayley to the floor. Charlotte comes in, tags in, and of course, she drop kick to the knee to set her up for the bow down to the Queen. 1, 2, 3. And Charlotte and Sasha Banks win this tag team match. After the match is over, Sasha tries to take advantage of Becky Lynch. Bayley spots this and ends up sending Sasha from the ring. So this is not over between these two at all. These two teams actually will probably go at it yet again, or they're going to go at it in a different form, maybe in singles matches now, because there was a little tiff between the two former BFFs. Basically, Charlotte saying that this is all over with, and Sasha basically saying that she wants a shot at the championship. So, next week, there is going to be a match to determine who is going to be the number 1 contender. So, we're going to talk about that in a little bit. A blast from the past, if you will, go face-to-face in the back as the former International Airstrike, Justin Gabriel and Tyson Kidd, are chatting with each other in the locker room. Tyson's basically trying to get Justin Gabriel to turn to the dark side. Justin Gabriel's like, nah, I'm not really wanting to go that way. And that's pretty much the end of that. So we get our next match. It is CJ Parker, who comes out to a really bad, not bad, but a badly covered up cover, which is basically me trying to say that it's really obvious that that's ripping off what it is to the Bangles' hazy shade of winter. So he comes out wearing his probably hemp jacket, his vest, and he's looking very Wonderlust like he always does, and he's got a sign that just basically says Woods with all crossed out. So we're going to get a feud between Xavier Woods and CJ Parker out of this. I don't have a problem with that. This match goes really short, and Steve Cutler is just basically enhancement talent at this point. He gets mowed over with that side kick, and that's the end of it. So he gets on the mic. He basically says that Xavier Woods had the opportunity to get into the main roster of WWE, and he's basically just like piddled it away. So he's basically wasted his opportunity. He basically said that, what has he been? He's been a Funkadactyl, and he's, of course, dressed up like Apollo Creed back in the day when he was Consequences Creed in TNA. And what would CJ Parker do with this opportunity? He would win championships and not look like such a fool. So yes, we are definitely leaning towards the feud between CJ Parker and Xavier Woods. And I don't have a problem with that, because I think it'll work pretty well. So Renee's in the back with Tyson, and Tyson is basically saying that, you know what, I'll apologize for my actions. I wasn't in the right headspace. I wasn't in the right state of mind. And I know Natty was just trying to help. I completely understand. And then, of course, Renee, the journalist that she is, brings up the opportunity to say that Tyson may have marital problems. And, of course, Tyson's like, and bombs out. So, yeah. Main event time. It is Sami Zayn against Justin Gabriel. Of course, Gabriel's got Tyson Kidd in his corner, and Sami Zayn is by himself. This match was really good. Really good. I'm not really surprised it'd be really good, because it's two really great superstars. They're very underutilized. Especially Justin Gabriel. Justin Gabriel, very underutilized in WWE. So Zayn nailed with a side headlock takeover and creates separation with a backdrop suplex, and a big clothesline when Zayn gets up to his feet by Gabriel sends him down for a 2. So he pounds away and he boots him in the face. Gabriel with a leg sweep, total elimination style, 1-2 and a kick out, so that stops any momentum that Sami Zayn has. 3 big forearms and a chop while he's balanced against the ropes. Whip in and a big clothesline and high leg lariat, and he gets popped up in the air. A drop kick, Sami Zayn sends him down. Ducks the right hand, Blue Thunder, 1-2 and a kick out. So Jawbreaker by Gabriel breaks any momentum that Zayn has at this point. Charges in, catches the Exploder into the corner, and gets a 2 off of that. He goes for the Haluva kick, and of course he stops dead in his tracks. He gets caught really nicely with a springboard into a thrust kick. Now, Rob Van Dam does this usually from, like, the side of the ropes. Gabriel did it off the corner post, and it looked really nice, actually. Gets a 2 off of that. Waistlock and a back elbow gets countered into an air raid crash across the knee. and that gets a 2 off of that. He springboards up, going for the moonsault off the top, and he connects, gets a 2 off of that. And, of course, side slam, setting up for the 450, gets caught by Zayn, crouched up there with a forearm. He climbs up, and a superplex is blocked, and knocks Zayn off. He leaps over him, lands on his feet, and Zayn makes him eat the flatliner into the Koji clutch, and Gabriel has to tap out. So after the match is over, Tyson Kidd attacks Sami Zayn from behind, and Gabriel's like, I don't know if I want to do this or not. And he starts putting the boots to him as well. Here comes the NXT champion Adrian Neville out to make the save, and we got ourselves a tag match. Too bad Teddy Long's not there to announce that right away, because it would feel like home if that were the case. So yes, a great main event for NXT this week. Definitely storyline progression. We're going to have a number 1 contenders match this Thursday night to determine who is going to be facing off against Charlotte. And I believe it is Sasha Banks and Summer Rae. I'm pretty sure that's right. It might be Bayley and Summer Rae. I don't quite recall off the top of my head. But I do know that it is coming, and I'm very much looking forward to see what exactly is going to be happening. There's a lot of really great stuff going on right now, and I'm very much looking forward to everything that's happening in NXT. Great show. CJ Parker, like I said, gets a squash, basically just to get the feud with Xavier Woods started off, and Charlotte and Sasha finally split, so no more BFFs, and everyone's after Charlotte and the NXT Women's Championship, and that's how it should be. No Alexa Bliss this week. We got a lot of Becky Lynch, so that was cool. And I would say Alexa Bliss and Becky Lynch are going to be your next generation of superstars that are going to go up to the main roster sooner rather than later. Obviously, we know that we have Paige and Emma on WWE television, so I think that the next call-ups will probably end up being probably Charlotte. I would say she's going to get called up sooner rather than later once she drops the championship, and there's a lot to be said about Alexa Bliss and Becky Lynch as well, so... And Bayley. Bayley is really good, too. They don't give her enough credit. Bayley's got the Deb ponytail from Napoleon Dynamite. I just noticed that for the first time in the match that they had with Charlotte and Sasha on the broadcast. And, of course, we're still building towards when Tyler Breeze is going to be able to cash in his golden opportunity, not for a Money in the Bank, but for a shot at Adrian Neville's NXT Championship. So that is going to be coming as soon as Breeze is clear to wrestle. Obviously, he broke his finger, so he's on the shelf for a bit, but hopefully not for long. And we're continuing the feud between the Legionnaires and Big Cass and Enzo Amore. So yeah, good addition to the NXT. Very enjoyable show. I really liked it, like I always do. Smackdown time. Let's talk Smackdown, shall we? Of course, the version I had goes right into this match, which was billed as Sheamus' Invitational for the United States Championship. And I thought it was going to be a gauntlet match, or I thought it was going to be more than one match. No, it's just basically a match against Alberto Del Rio. But a good match against Alberto Del Rio. Let's pick it up midway through the match, and Del Rio hits the backstabber on the ring apron on Sheamus, and we come back to live action from commercial break. Ducks the clothesline. Sheamus with a crossbody on Del Rio all the way to the floor. They both roll back in. They trade bunches. Boot into the midsection. Whip in reverse, and Sheamus starts his momentum. Axe handle, diving shoulder. But Sheamus, of course, has performed this before a time or two, and Del Rio definitely knows how to counter this because they've wrestled a time or two. So, of course, he gets the knee up, so that stops momentum. He charges in, and of course, he eats the Irish Curse backbreaker 1-2 and a kick out. He goes for the Finley roll to Sheamus, and elbow strike out of it from Del Rio, and a boot in. Goes for the cross arm breaker. Sheamus counters, shoves him off into an over-the-shoulder power slam. Countered into a DDT by Del Rio 1-2 and a kick out. Excuse me, boot to the head, and he goes up top. He punches him, Sheamus climbs up, and Del Rio ends up knocking Sheamus to the ring apron off the top, and climbs up on the buckle. Sheamus climbs up to meet him, does the clubbing blows on the turnbuckle instead of across the ring apron like he normally does. Hits the battering ram, and he goes for the bro kick in the corner. Del Rio ducks, and he picks the leg. Cross arm breaker is applied. Sheamus punches out to counter. Into the Cloverleaf. Cloverleaf, of course, Del Rio gets to the ropes, and a boot in and a back elbow by Del Rio. He climbs up, he gets caught on the shoulders in a victory roll position, and he gets turned around to the fireman's. Look like he's going to set up for the Finley roll yet again. Counter to the cross arm breaker, which gets countered into a slam back into the turnbuckles, breaking the grip from Del Rio. Misses the charging shoulder, and Del Rio makes Sheamus eat the GSK and climbs up top for a moonsault off the middle rope, and he lands on his feet and eats the Brogue Kick, 1, 2, 3, and Sheamus retains the United States Championship. Good back and forth match between these superstars that know that they have had great matches against one another, and definitely, even though rumor has it Del Rio is 1 foot out the door and the other foot on a banana peel right now, I would say the Alberto Del Rio we've been seeing a lot late on WWE television has been a lot more rejuvenated. We've had a lot more better performances from Del Rio. Maybe he's trying to get a new contract, who knows? We'll find out sooner rather than later. Of course, the real opening of the show was the next segment, and that was, of course, the second segment, given the fact that I watch everything out of order, because that's the version I watch. And of course, Seth Rollins comes out wearing his laser tag gear, and not this time. He's actually wearing a suit and dressed to the nines, wearing a suit as he normally does. He says John Cena got lucky on Raw, that of course he didn't have the opportunity to cash in because Dean Ambrose got involved. The clock's still ticking. Look at this face. I will be the new face of the WWE. Here comes Dean Ambrose. He says, you're delusional, Seth. I'm going to be there every single time. Whenever you think you're going to cash in, no, I'm going to be right behind you, like that evil red guy in Insidious. You're not going to get close to those championships. That briefcase, it's a curse. It's going to be an excuse to ruin your life, your future, and your precious face of the WWE. Rollins says you can't keep it up for a year. I know you too well. You'll just pitter away and don't worry about things. So, Rollins goes for the swing of the briefcase. Ambrose ducks it, double legs him, takes him down, starts pounding away. Randy Orton runs out. He runs in from the attack. Roman Reigns' music hits, and the former Shield stand toe-to-toe against the Authority's goons of Randy Orton and Seth Rollins. So, of course, Triple H comes out and basically says, you know what, you made your point. You want to fight Ambrose, you're going to face Randy Orton and Roman Reigns. You know what, if you get involved in the match, you interfere in any way, shape, or form, I'll take you out of the four-way at Battleground. Simple as that. So, we get Stardust in the back asking what's in a name, trying to figure out what's going to be the team name for the team. I don't even have one yet. Goldust says, it's written in the sky. And Stardust just bombs out, and Goldust is like, you know what? That's really weird, but I like it. It's funny they're playing off Cody to be the crazy one now. I like that completely. Roman Reigns says he's not going to jeopardize his spot at Battleground to help his friend out. Obviously, Dean can fight on his own, and he can handle himself just fine the way he is, so he's not going to get involved in the main event. We get our next match. It is the inspirational Bo Dallas taking on Diego of Los Matadores because, of course, Fernando is injured right now. And he comes out with a microphone, of course, giving more to the storyline that when Daniel Bryan is coming back, he's going to have a purposely made feud with Bo Dallas in his future. So Bo Dallas will be feuding with Daniel Bryan when Bryan comes back. Basically, he gets on the mic and says, Daniel Bryan is a special fella. He's going to win the Intercontinental Championship in the Battle Royal, of course, for Little Daniel. So that basically means that we have another participant in the Intercontinental Championship Battle Royal. There's a lot of superstars that need to be added to this, obviously. So this picks up quick. It's a short match. Diego gets a little bit of offense, and he gets tossed in the ring post, eats the bow dog, 1, 2, 3. So he gets on the mic and he says, hey, little fella, talking to Torito, by the way. He calls him a bovine, because that fits. Why don't you go tell that you could be taller? I was reading it off. I was totally reading this wrong. I was like, you can be taller if you simply just believe. And of course he gores Bo in the behind, and Bo takes offense to this. And of course he body slams El Torito, which popped me because I'm not a big fan of this Los Matadores gimmick. I like Torito, but I think this is going to build Bo into a heel, and even though the fans are wanting to cheer him, at least some of them are, there are a lot of Bo leavers, like this guy right here, but Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what we do with this. Bo Dallas, of course, will have a chance to go 12-0 tonight on Raw, so we'll see what happens with that. Excuse me. Speaking of what happened last week on Raw, Chris Jericho comes out, of course. He says his comeback just felt good. It felt right, like it was the right thing to do, but then along came a spider. And the Wyatts beat him down 3-on-1, and he wants to thank them. He wants to thank the Wyatts for reminding him that the WWE is not about flashy jackets or entrances. It's about survival of the fittest. This ring is a dangerous place, but Chris Jericho can be a dangerous man. I don't look, think, or act like anyone else. I can get crazy. I can get nuts. Apparently, Chris Jericho listened to Prince recently. You'll never, ever be the same again, of course. Here comes a really awesome Bray Wyatt promo, which is great as it always is. And Bray Wyatt says this, which I'm getting to. Sorry. I did not have my website up. I probably should have had that up, and I didn't. The world does not have a voice of its own. It can't tell you what it wants, what it needs, what it's yearning for. Something to point it in the right direction. A savior, perhaps? Save us, Chris. Oh, you must forgive me. Where have my manners gone? I don't think I've had the chance to formally introduce myself. You may call me Bray Wyatt. I have 1,000 faces and 1,000,000 names. Seducer. Accuser. Destroyer. I am the color red in a world full of black and white, and if you value your ability to breathe, don't get too close. Save us, Chris. Save yourself. So awesome. So awesome, as always. So this Bray Wyatt-Chris Jericho feud kicking into high gear, and it's going to continue tonight on Raw. We're going to be in Montreal tonight on Raw, so it's going to be interesting to see, because we get another matchup of The Miz against Chris Jericho on Montreal's Raw tonight. So that's going to be interesting to see. And apparently Bret the Hitman Hart is going to be on the show tonight. It's got bad written all over it, guys. It just does. So this match is basically Cesaro and Big E, which never really gets started, because Big E comes out to fight for Kofi Kingston's honor. Because Kofi got demolished on Raw by the new appearance of Cesaro, the new evil, like, don't care, rule breaker Cesaro. Cesaro comes out, he attacks him for the bell, he basically sends him in the barricade, clothesline, tosses him into Justin Roberts' land, you know, the timekeeper's area. Cesaro with a chair shot to the back, and Big E gets dumped over, and he drops a desk chair. Something I'm sitting on. He drops a desk chair on Big E, tosses Big E over the table, barely misses JBL, because of course Michael Cole got taken out on Raw, because he got punched in the nuts and everything I talked about. Sends him into the steps, Big E blocks the post shot, and an overhead belly-to-belly suplex. Heyman gets Cesaro out before Big E can do anything more. So yeah, that was the end of that. It was just there. I really hope they do more with Cesaro. I like the evil, like, not caring Cesaro. I think it'll work really well, but I don't want to see Cesaro feud with Kofi or Big E. I want to see Cesaro feud for the championship and not in a little meaningless mid-card feud. But I am happy to see Cesaro on television. Speaking of meaningless, AJ Lee takes on Eva Marie. This match is really short, and Eva Marie can't work. Sorry, it's just a fact. And AJ ends up locking her in the Black Widow, and that's the end of the match. Paige was on commentary. Paige gets the ring and applauds AJ. They shake hands, and we're building towards a real Paige and AJ Lee feud for the Divas Championship, and I don't have any issues with that, because that's going to be awesome. Main event time, Dean Ambrose against Randy Orton. We pick it up midway through the match. A whip in, charges in. Ambrose gets the boot up, and Dean gets up on top, and Orton swats him off. Missile drop kick from Ambrose connects, and he tosses Dean shoulder first into the ring post, playing up on the shoulder, obviously. He's still got the shoulder bandaged up, Brian Pillman style. Another connection to Brian Pillman that Ambrose has. So, of course, he backdrops him on the barricade, does Orton on the normal, and tosses him in, makes a cover 1-2 and a kick out. A wrist lock, and he punches out of it, yanks on Orton's arm, excuse me, A knee strike by Orton, and Orton yanks on Ambrose's arm. There we go. Sends him shoulder first in the post yet again. They trade blows. Snap jabs by Ambrose, and of course, a leaping headbutt ducks the clothesline, flying forearm. The elbow face wash in the corner. Whip in reverse, gets a back elbow. Ambrose with the spinning back elbow off the middle rope, and he clotheslines Orton over the top rope to the floor. Nails the tope on Orton, and don't forget Rollins is on commentary during this match. Whips Orton hard in the barricade, tosses him in, and of course, Ambrose uses this moment of stoppage in the match to attack Seth Rollins like he always does, and he tosses him into the barricade, and he catches a neck snap off the top rope, roll up, 1-2, and a kick out, boot in, and a St. Louis uppercut from Orton. Jawbreaker lariat connects from Ambrose, and Dirty Deeds is countered into the Snap Samoa Joe style power slam. Snakebite DDT is countered with a backdrop over the top rope to the floor. He goes for the tope, and Ambrose ends up eating the briefcase courtesy of Seth Rollins. So that hits the shoulder, not the face. It actually did more damage to the arm and shoulder of Ambrose, playing up the fact that really trying to break down that shoulder. Orton hits the RKO after the match. Of course, it's a disqualification because Seth Rollins got involved. And Seth goes up top to try to finish off Ambrose once and for all. Roman Reigns runs out and ends up Superman punch on Randy Orton, and that's how we go home. So yeah, Ambrose and Reigns have sent Rollins and Orton for the hills, and that's how we end SmackDown. So yeah, that was the event. What would I recommend on the show? Sheamus and Del Rio, actually. I really recommend that match. It was really good. And the main event, Ambrose and Orton, was good. It's about all I'd recommend on the show, pretty much. So yeah, we're just kind of there. Storyline progression leading us to Battleground at the end of the month. That's it. So what's going to happen on Raw tonight? We got Chris Jericho against The Miz. We're going to have the continuation of the Bray Wyatt-Chris Jericho feud out of that. I know Bray Wyatt will get involved, and I think what ends up happening is Jericho ends up losing to The Miz via, Wyatt family interference, and then Bray comes in, and then all hell breaks loose. So I think that's what ends up happening. Because The Miz is going to join the Wyatt, so that's not going to happen. Interesting idea, though. Something no one would see coming. We obviously have the continuation of the Dolph Ziggler and Summer Rae against Fandango and Layla feud we've got started now. Excuse me. We have Paige and AJ Lee definitely going to go at it, leading to their prospective match at Battleground. I would see some sort of a women's #1 contenders match to determine who faces AJ, and Paige could win and go on to face AJ, or Paige can lose, forced to snap, turn heel, and go after AJ that way too. Hopefully I don't have to see Cameron wrestle again. I know that we're splitting up the Funkadactyls every week, and I think that official split is coming soon. Obviously, Bree's not on television right now, but Nikki could still be on TV, and maybe Stephanie's going to make Nikki's life miserable because of what Bree laughed at via the leaving of Vicky Guerrero when we did that a couple weeks ago on Raw. A lot of interesting things happened, of course. More participants to be announced in the Intercontinental Championship Battle Royal to determine who's going to be the new Intercontinental Champion. Sheamus may be defending the U.S. title tonight. We might have that on the horizon. Is there going to be any bad news? I know Barrett is obviously injured right now, but he could still cut a promo, so maybe we'll see a promo from Barrett. Who knows? What's going to happen in Canada tonight? Could we obviously have a Bret Hart appearance? Could we possibly see Edge or Christian tonight? That's a possibility. I don't know about that, but we might see them. I have a feeling, if anything, Christian's going to be on the kickoff team, for the Raw pre-show for the WWE Network. I think that makes perfect sense. Obviously, Jericho returning home again, so that's going to be a fun time as well. So yeah, that's what we got for Raw coming on the horizon tonight. That recap will come tomorrow to Pop Wednesday. We're going to talk a little TNA Impact from last week. I know I was off a week. It's the final show that was in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania, and leading to the main event rematch of Lashley defending the TNA World Heavyweight Championship against Showtime Eric Young. And next week, this coming week on Impact, will go into New York and those really off-the-wall tapings from New York. So that's something to look forward to. And of course, if you're a regular Pop viewer, there are some birdies that are tweeting about right now saying there could be a Maze announcement for Orlando and Hollywood, or potentially just Orlando, or potentially just Hollywood, or both. So they may get their own separate IPs, or separate properties, separate house or Maze announcements, or we may get another share. That's coming very soon. I'm pretty sure we're going to get something. Now that Diagon Alley is opening officially tomorrow, I can honestly say that Universal will kick into Horror Nights mode in high gear. So it's going to be really interesting to see what we have with that, get some more announcements, and once I get more announcements, I'll shoot you guys videos out of that. AJ's Movie Reviews this week is coming with a Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, which is the only new release movie we have this week, but we also have limited release movies as well that's going to be coming up too. Brand new Verse is coming, something we've been promising for a while that we finally put on the back burner, but it's coming this week. Going to be gangster themed this week, and that's going to be your Versus Ashley's Podcaster from Across the Pond segment. It's going to continue on Saturday, and of course, all sorts of different stuff, depending on if any news breaks on Horror Nights, I'll have videos from that as well. So yes, that's what's coming. And as always, if you like these videos, tell your friends about them, leave a comment, do subscribe, help spread the word about Pop. If you haven't yet, like our Facebook fan page at Sir Owen Disney Pop on Facebook. If you want to send me a friend request, go right ahead. It's Owen Disney on Facebook. If you'd like to follow me on Twitter, it's at Sir Owen Disney. Last but certainly not least, you want to send your thoughts, comments, queries, and opinions. You want to talk wrestling, Universal, Disney, Halloween Horror Nights, Diagon Alley. You want to talk about any of that stuff with me, or if you want to ask me questions, or you want to potentially give me ideas for verses you'd like to see on this channel, we will definitely take your ideas into account. And a lot of you out there have done that, and your verses have come true. And who knows, I can make your verses come true most likely. It just depends. Or if you'd like to become a popcaster yourself, send your video contributions to my email, siroandisney@gmail.com. In the meantime, I want to thank you guys and girls out there for watching. And until tomorrow, boys and girls, that's all I got to say about that.